back home from dinner and we had such a nice time. It was the first time we've been out and about with friends since I got out of the hospital. And it's the first time we were out and about with friends with Margaret, or really out and about to eat with Margaret since November, which is crazy. Usually with our schedule, we're out and about and eating out a lot just because, you know, on set and in LA. And so, you know, for Margaret not to have eaten out with us in that long was crazy. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, I don't know how she's gonna do. It's been a while for her, and she was great. The first restaurant we ever took Margaret to was Musso and Frank's in Hollywood, and she was 6 days old, and it was her son's birthday, and we were up there, and I didn't have a sitter for her, and so I took her to Musso and Frank's with us, and she slept on the booth next to me the entire dinner, and it was the most precious, magical moment ever. And so it was a really good night. It is the weekend and we're ready for Betsy's arrival. I'm very excited to see her. It's a little last minute push to get everything ready today, but we're ready for Betsy. I can't wait to see her. It was a really hard night last night. I feel like there's a lot of really good moments and I'm doing a lot better, but the hard ones come and they're just really overwhelming and really horrible. I was going to check in during it and I was like, this is just too much, this is too dramatic, this is too sad, but I still want to talk about it. But like crying McKenna, sobbing McKenna, melting down McKenna was out in full force last night, and it's really hard and it's just really sad, and it's like an overwhelming grief that just takes over you. I think it was like building up from all the doctor's visits last week and it being the 6-week mark, so it was a hard night. My eyes were so swollen this morning. I had to do like little eye masks on to like calm them down. But I'm hoping today's better. I felt a deep sadness in my spirit today. But I am excited to go out. We're going out for dinner. And then tomorrow Betsy comes. So I'm excited. Also, Spencer's sister and family are coming back in town after being gone overseas for a month. And so with that, I cooked them some snacks, some muffins, some cookies. The boys really wanted a taco bar, and so I made the boys tacos kind of prepped, that when they get home, they have something to eat. Because whenever you're overseas for so long, you come back and it's like you're jet lagged. Nothing feels right. You kind of feel a little nauseous from all the foreign food. And so I kind of like prepped. I texted Holly and I was like, what do your children want to eat? Because they've been in Morocco for a month. What can I get them? And so I prepped some food for them. It's like something that I like to do. It's on TM. Always feed the children. That's what I'm here for. I have started incorporating a daily walk outside into my daily schedule. And I'm just so grateful I feel well enough to take a daily walk. I feel like I felt so much better this last week. Like a milestone physically. Like I got out of bed this morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I got out of bed and it didn't hurt at all. So incorporating daily walk. I was like, when was I ever like healthiest mentally, physically, is when I was walking twice every day. So I'm starting with 1 and I'm gonna gradually go up to 2. I'm also trying to get back into shape for wedding season, because wedding season is coming and I have been like laid up in bed since November. And so I was like, I can't do 18,000 step days. I've got to get back into shape. So here we are. But it's so nice to be outside. It's cold today and wet, but still very beautiful. And Rover's here with me, so I'm a buddy. This walk has not gone the way that I would hoped. I fell into a snowbank and then I slipped and fell into a mud pile. I'm covered in dirt and mud, but so is Rover. And now it's starting to rain. So, not a disaster, but just about almost one. I already know there were comments being like, why in the world is your tree still up, McKenna? But you guys, I spent Christmas and labor and delivery bleeding out. And so our tree was cut in November and it's still alive. Like, look at this. It's like thriving. So there's no way I'm taking it down. I'm enjoying the season that I did not get to experience fully. So the tree's still up. It's like a miracle tree. My walk was a disaster. I fell into a snowbank, then I slid down a mudslide. My knee is bleeding because I scraped it. It wasn't a great first out and about walk, but at least we survived. Here we are. And this week was really good. Hard, but good. Betsy came. We had a lovely visit. You know, the family came back from their trip. But I had a really hard weekend. And I feel like the hard times just really coming away, but they can feel really overwhelming. And so I'm like hoping like getting back into daily walking and all this stuff is gonna really like help me. So on my Instagram, I asked you guys like, what do you want to know about me? What kind of questions do you have? And I have, oh my gosh, my hair is stuck in the tree. We are just too close. I'm gonna have to back it up. I have a list of questions that I wrote down that you guys asked. And so the first question is, I grew up in Florida mostly. I was born in Missouri, but we moved there to Florida when I was about 13. And so most of my childhood memories are in Florida, and that's where I was when Spencer and I met. And so Missouri and Florida are so different. In Missouri, I was like always outside in the woods, like building fires, building camps. And in Florida, everything outside I feel like can kill you, because like the Florida panthers, the bears, the alligators, like the Florida pythons, like the big spiders. And so I became more of an indoor person once I moved to Florida. What was my childhood dream job? My childhood dream job was, I guess I wanted to always do a cooking show. Growing up, I had like a really restrictive childhood, and so we really couldn't watch the TV. We couldn't really do much, but we could cook, and I could watch cooking shows. And so growing up, I watched like every single cooking show known to man. And so when I was a little girl, I was like, oh my gosh, I would just love to do a cooking show one day. And so Spencer did not know this about me until we got married. And I was just like, we should watch cooking shows. So Spencer now watches them with me. First he's like, this is so bizarre, but now I think he kind of likes it. I've kind of like broken him in to the cooking shows. What is something most people don't know about me? There's a lot of random things. I think one of them might be that I was in a handbell choir for like a short time, and I cannot keep rhythm for the life of me. Like, I'm really bad. So poor Dr. Yount would like come where my bells were and like bang the rhythm, like the beat, and I could just not do it. I've been in a choir for some reason. I can like stay with the choir, but handbells, it was just too much for me, and I'm not a rhythmic person at all. Margaret really is though, and she has to get that from Spencer, because Spencer played the drums, and so he was in percussion, and so Spencer has great rhythm. I don't, but Margaret does, so I'm very happy for Margaret's sake. Maybe she could join a handbell choir and actually keep up and not drag the whole group down. How did I meet Spencer? Spencer and I met during COVID in Florida. He was in California, and then COVID broke out, and California got so crazy that Spencer moved near his sister who lives in Florida, and his sister and I went to the same church. And so we made eye contact one Sunday when he was with her, and I was like, I know Amber, who is this guy with her? And so it was like this wildly, like, I would call it erotic eye contact, but that's really what it was. And so, but I was busy, I was working, I had things to do, and so I didn't see him again after that. And then one night around Christmas time, I was just scrolling on Facebook, and his picture popped up, like a suggested friend, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the guy I saw. And so I friended him, didn't think anything of it, to sleep. And when I woke up, I had like, he had friended me, he had followed me on Instagram, and I had like 5 messages from him, and I was like, oh. And so then we started chatting, and then we had our first date at Christmas Eve on Cracker Barrel, and we bought our rings 6 weeks later. We knew very early on, like our Cracker Barrel date was like 5 hours, and it was so sweet and so precious, and we were inseparable ever since then. It was really cute. Early on our relationship, I broke my foot, which is crazy because like I'm a vet planner, and so like I think we had been dating 3 weeks when it happened, and Spencer was so cute. He just took such good care of me. He would go get groceries for me. He would like help me with my crutches, because I'm not a very coordinated person. I'm kind of clumsy, and so I would always be like walking on my crutches, and I would just like randomly fall. So poor Spencer, he was in it to win it though. It was really cute. Okay, what inspired me to start Events with McKenna? Events with McKenna came to life after I had been a wedding planner for about 8 years. I'd always worked for other people, but I had done weddings on my own, like as a side hustle. And so, you know, I did, you know, weddings for companies, and I did like, you know, events for a company, for a nonprofit. But I would do weddings on my own on the side almost every weekend. And so I was kind of running events in McKenna, but it wasn't like an official business. And so when sister and I got married, I was working for this other wedding planning company in Florida, and I would be so annoyed because I felt like, you know, when you work for someone else, you're going to have to fit into what they want for their company, for their mold. And I, as a wedding planner, was just like, I really, you know, I feel like weddings should be run a certain way, and you should have this kind of personality. And if I was doing this by myself, like I do, I can be McKenna and the best version of a wedding planner that I can be. And I feel like I really can't, because I have to fit into these molds that, you know, my boss wants me to be in, which, you know, is fair. It was her company. But I was just so afraid that if I didn't work for someone else, was independent, and owned my own company, that it would fail. It just seemed really intimidating to me. And so Sister and I were on a walk, and I was so frustrated. I was like, had a really bad day, and I was like, I just am so tired of working for someone else. But I'm so afraid that if I don't, like, I will never, because I was doing weddings, but like, you know, it wasn't enough to be like substantial. And so Spencer's like, you should just quit and start your own company. And I was like, but what if it fails? And he's like, it won't fail. You're so good. It's going to be a great success. You just have to do it. And so I was like, okay. And so I quit that night, and the next day I started events with McKenna. And the first year and a half were like kind of like moderate, and then after that it blew up. And so I'm really, really grateful. I'm very, very thankful. There's not a day that goes by when I work and I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is my job. People pay me to do their wedding. It's like, it's so fun. It's so beautiful. It makes me so happy. Like, a wedding day is the best day, the best moments of someone's life. And so as a planner, I'm involved not only in the planning of it and the designing of it and like bringing couples' dreams to life, but on the day, I get to like experience the magic with them, if that makes sense. And like all these beautiful emotional moments of bride and grooms, like walking into the reception and just like crying because they love it so much. Or like, you know, seeing their first look, or like helping them into their dress, or, you know, like bustling the dress for the reception. There's just so many beautiful moments that I get to be a part of that most people don't. If like you're a wedding guest, you don't see all the behind the scenes gorgeousness, but as a planner, I'm just involved in every aspect of it, and it's just so beautiful and so sweet. And my favorite part of every wedding is at the reception, when I watch the bride and groom on the dance floor, because they're always just so happy, and they're like so happy to be married, but so happy that it's their wedding day, and they're just surrounded by all these people that love them, and I helped bring that joy to them, and it just makes me so happy. Fills me with all the good feelings. What's the best and worst wedding I've ever done? I've had a lot of, I'm stuck in the tree again. I've had a lot of really great wedding days. So it's kind of hard to pick one. My favorite one lately was at the Jim Henson lot. We rented out the entire lot. And that lot's where, like, you know, Harry Styles records his albums. Taylor Swift recorded an album there. Justin Bieber recorded his albums there. John Mayer has an office there. And so I was at a walkthrough one time there. Like, Kathy Bates just walked by. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so we rented out the whole lot. And we brought everything in. And the bride wanted, like, colorful, beautiful flowers. And Albert and I just went crazy and, like, just brought in all these beautiful, you know, vibrant colors to like bring the lot to life. And the bride and groom just loved Disney, and so we had like R2-D2, and Wally was the ring bearer, and we had like the Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story there. And so it was just so unique and happy and wonderful, that it was a great day. It was a long day. Rentals came in at 7, so I was there from 7 a.m. till 1:30 a.m. So it was a very long day for McKenna, but it was one of the best days ever. I loved it so much. I was like, the whole day I was like, I was just so happy. Okay. How do I balance work and mom? Oh wait, I did say the worst wedding I ever did. Though there's been a couple things at weddings that have been really, really crazy. Once I had a Jewish wedding, and the bartenders were supposed to bring glatt, kosher, everything. And so I had talked to the bartenders about it. They knew it. They signed off. And I was like, have you done a black kosher wedding before? And they're like, yes, don't worry. And they showed up. And their wine wasn't kosher. And I was like, I don't know if this wine's kosher. And they're like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so the rabbi walks up and I was like, Rabbi, is this right? And he's like, oh no, this is not kosher wine. And like the wedding was starting and we were in Calabasas. So there's no grocery stores nearby besides like Erewhon. And so it was a whole thing. Not my favorite thing ever. How do I balance work and mom life? I feel like when I first started at McKenna, you know, I wasn't a mom yet, and so I would just like work, and like I would like be up till 9 o'clock at night working. And once I had Margaret, my life, you know, drastically changed. Also in 2023, like Let's McKenna really took off. I think we did 32 weddings that year, you know, which was crazy. Like I had 6 weddings in April that year and like 5 weddings in May. It was just wild, and it was so beautiful and wonderful and special. But it was like a wedding factory. We were just like pumping them out, me and the team. So that after Margaret came, I feel like I had really found my niche market in California. And so with that, I'm able now to do fewer weddings, but be more involved in them, and just be more selective about who I work with and who I don't. So I'm really, really grateful that that choice, the decision I made, really helped the work-life balance, because I don't have to work as much now. I can just be really intentional with when I do work, which is really, really great. It's nice for me, it's nice for Margaret, it's nice for Spencer, but it's just better for my mental health now to feel like working till 10 p.m. every night. I did it for a season, but that season's over. If I wasn't a wedding planner, what would I do instead? I thought about this. I think I'd either like go full in and be like, try and be like a cooking show personality, or I'd be a sommelier. I love wine. And so I took my sommelier training once, and I, you know, studied for it for months and months. And when I was trying to take my test, I had just become pregnant with Margaret. And when I was pregnant with Margaret, I had the craziest brain fog, like the whole pregnancy, but especially in the first trimester. I like couldn't remember anything. I couldn't think anything. And so I studied and studied and studied. And then I took the test when I was like 5 or 6 weeks pregnant. And I failed by 1 question. I was 1 question away from passing. And so I was so frustrated, but also so sick and just so not with it, because I was, you know, just was pregnant for the first or second time. And so I was like, that's it. And so I never went back to it, but I am back to it now. I was like, Spencer and Mom were like, McKenna, why you need to just get this test and pass it? Like, you really could. I was like, I know, I really should. And so that was on my goal list for this year, was to practice for my sommelier test. So wish me luck, because yeah, just wish me luck. Wish me luck that I pass. Wish me luck that I study. I pulled out all my wine flashcards, and so that is, it'll help me. But I keep telling myself, if I take the test and fail again, it's okay. I can retake it. So I just have to like pull off the Band-Aid and do it. I think I like psyched myself out. And that's all of my list of questions. Thank you guys for asking them. If you want to ask more questions, comment down below or follow me on Instagram, because I usually ask for the questions on my Instagram stories. And so thank you guys. I hope you have a really great weekend. I will have a really great weekend. Sunday is the Oscars. Saturday we're going to a friend's basketball game, and then Monday's I think my birthday. My birthday's Monday. So yeah, it's gonna be a good few days. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, and I'll talk to you later.